profiles in the databases.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which starting off, so you understand where does that number come from. Our silent keys are in there.
Yep.
Okay, and very few others, but that's how big the database is right now. Is 1365.
Got it. Okay.
Uh,
Well, oh, go ahead.
I was going to finish by saying that those clubs that have dropped out, their addresses are still in there. You know, we keep records, we keep history in there, and we don't want to lose the history. So, Jim, you and I had uh, talked about it, how to do it, and that was to say we never get rid of, even if requested, we never get rid of the record. We've got it so flagged that they would think, because nobody will ever see those again. We have radio buttons in the Tandy list, and we have the flags in Logical that stop any of those emails from coming up.
Correct. Okay. So I was mentioning a couple of folks that a couple of us are on the road right now. Grant is where did you say you were? In Oklahoma? You're muted.
You're muted. Oklahoma City.
Okay, Oklahoma City, and I'm in Rochester Hills, Michigan tonight. So I'm operating the streaming kind of. We'll see if the hotel Wi-Fi holds up or not. So I asked Eric to help with putting the agenda up real quick and kind of giving the lay of the land, and then uh, Grant and anybody else who needs to share things. Wanted to welcome John. Not sure how to say your last name. Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, Gorzen. So I live in Kansas, and thanks to the pandemic, I guess this is the second time I joined you. It doesn't always work very well for my schedule, but I can be here for the first half hour anyway. Then I've got to go pick up some kids. But just thought I would stop by and say hi and see what's going on.
Okay,
Um,
sounds good.
I wonder, I wonder if he could do me a favor, because I could handle this at all times, and that is if he would please email me. That way, I'd have your first name and email address, and be able to say, "Welcome to the club. You're a member."
Okay, I am on your list already. Have been for quite some time, so
That
you've probably got
that
me that way.
that's great. Thanks for that input.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, well, let me see here. We got so the start of the meeting is our secretary's report, right? Right, Eric?
Yeah, let me pull up.
Sorry, it was up and I was talking and then it disappeared. So but
Here you go.
so yep. Okay, yep. Secretary report. So Brian's not here tonight, and I did not get a report, so we're gonna have to hold that over until February. Um, and so the next one is the treasury report from Eric, and so maybe Eric, you could show us what's going on in the treasury.
Sure. I had it pulled up. Is that big enough to see, or?
It's big enough for me to see, but it might not be for everybody.
Good enough for me, or was.
Oh, we lost him, didn't we?
No, I'm still here.
Okay. Oh, it's just
I don't know.
there. Oh, okay.
Okay. So this is the balance sheet for December. No, this was December's. Must have been pulled up from.
It'd be, oh, so yeah, the January report that shows December 1st to January 1st, right? That's what you're bringing up?
Yeah, that wasn't. I don't think that was the right. Pull up. Nice big report. Okay, this is a balance sheet for December. So this is what it looked like on December 31st. We've got 14,962 and 8 cents in the checking account. We've got $14.08 in the PayPal account. And we've got $2,500.01 in a savings account, which I opened up with the same bank as a checking account, just to get a little bit better interest. No money in the cash, and the Cocoa Fest fund is still at $500.
What was the, is there a view that shows like the different like ads and puts for
Yep.
the month of December?
Yep, so that's in the income statement.
Okay.
So this is what we saw. We got a $15 membership. We got 12 cents back, I think, in PayPal mainly,
Yep.
and then 75 cents in interest. We spent $9.07 on Microsoft Word, 92 cents on the transaction fee of $15, and $12.49 for the website. So we lost $6.61 in the month of December.
Got it. Okay.
One thing to note, I guess, in that is these fees are very high. So if you can send check or friends and family, that makes a huge difference.
Well, good. Is that on the website when folks like send
Yep.
the money and everything? Okay, so it is. Okay.
Yep, it kind of explains how to do it. But
Okay.
you know, whatever. I think we kind of figured fees are going to be part of life
Hmm.
with online stuff. So I don't see it as a big deal. But anything we can do to lower the fees is.
Okay.
I also have a transaction detail list for anybody who's interested in exactly what happened, where it came from, where it went to. That's available. And I have yearly reports too, which I guess I would like to cover as part of this.
Yeah, can we hold just a second and let's get a vote on the December thing, and then I would like you to show the 2021 year statement. Whoa, Grant, maybe you want to mute.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so I'm happy to entertain a motion to approve the December treasurer's report.
Motion.
I'm sorry, is that you, Rich?
That was me.
Okay, Rich has moved to accept, and a second.
I second.
Okay, Grant. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. You know what?
I'd like to make a comment here while we're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Rich, some reason your audio is really boosted and bamming in here. Just noting it to you, you're really banging your audio in. Normally, I'd say back off your mic about 10 feet. That loud.
Okay. Sorry, Eric, you were going to talk about the yearly statement.
Yeah, so that was December, and then we do have similar yearly reports. I don't have a balance sheet because that would just be December's. So this is how we did in 2021 for the whole year. We made $7,500, a little more, or sorry, $7,800, and we spent about $3,300. So that's with Cocoa Fest and everything.
No, I think whoa, go down. I think you got those wrong. I think we spent 44, 80, 89, 31, and we had a net.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Our total revenue.
Yeah.
Total
Okay.
net income for $34.29. So we spent $44.89.31.
Yep. So, and I think it would be,
78.
yep. So it's like
Um,
growth and expense, right? So a net growth of 33.29.40. Is that right?
yeah, for the year. Now
Okay.
this is kind of confusing because we're bringing in some, we're paying back some money from last year. So
Okay.
that's why you see a negative amount here in the revenue for Cocoa Fest. That's actually us paying back last year. So it makes a little more sense if we look at the year by year statement here.
Okay.
So, okay, so here compared to 2021, so these 2 years, um, we made 1437, which we just called a donation because we didn't really have a Cocoa Fest, and then we paid back almost all that because people paid to come to Cocoa Fest. So you still have the same totals at the end of the day, but I think this view kind of helps us understand a little better where our money is going. I think the most expensive thing we're spending is rentals, um, website, office supplies, bank fees are also pretty high. Government fees, those were very high this year for all the applications we're doing. But even with our expenses, we're at 3,300. It almost makes more sense to combine these 2 years, in some ways. So kind of in the last 2 years with one Cocoa Fest, we made around $5,000, and I think a large chunk of that too came from the auction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we're at.
So how is it that it just a curiosity, in 2020 there was $2,300, 2,350 in growth in the area, and it looks like majority of that was so those three numbers there, that 14 and 755 and 905, those three add up to 3,105. Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's what it
Is that
says. Yeah.
okay? So 4,300 and then 70 or 2,300 and then 755. So um, so that was so really what it was is, if I'm thinking about this, $2,300 was essentially prepayments for Cocoa Fest attendance,
Hmm.
and then the 976 was, I mean, when you say that's a negative, is that because we 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 gave money back to some folks or
Nope.
something? I'm not
Nope. That would be a refund down here. So
okay.
this money is uh, like, okay. So we had 1437, and then when we got to 2021, um, we still accounted for that revenue on
Okay.
on the books, like at Cocoa Fest. So we have to move that back to 2020. Um, the actual value was 1238 that I had to move over, and that was look at, yeah, that's this negative number here.
Hmm.
So if we I can log into our accounting software and show you guys where it went.
Hopefully the password doesn't show up because you're showing
Yeah,
all of us
yeah,
this.
I'll stop sharing for that.
Get it?
Okay, so here we're in the accounting software at,
Okay.
remember where we look.
okay if you want to just, I mean, get us a response later. That's okay too.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that. But these are the journal entries where most of the funds are going and coming from. So, like, let me just look at what account that went to. Yeah, okay. So let's look at general revenue. I think that was 14.
General revenue. Okay.
Okay, so this is the data we got from the spreadsheet.
Yep.
They were entered as general journal entries. So when you take these 560, 195, 165, you're taking them away from the revenue and you're putting them into one of these other categories: auctions, dinners, door tickets. So it's still revenue.
Uh-huh.
It's just we're categorizing it. The problem
Okay.
is the spreadsheet and this information that I actually got from the bank is off by $1,238.
Okay.
Where's that money? That it came from last year, but I can't give you more details than that because we haven't actually run this accounting for last year, which I'm still working on about halfway through the year. So as far as I can tell, this money that seems to be like missing is not missing. It's just last year's money.
Okay.
What's last year, 2020 or 2021?
Right, 2020.
2020.
It's just it's because we're getting these numbers from the spreadsheet and they just simply aren't. They're probably not accurate. At least not down to the penny. Where everything else is accurate down to the penny. You know, I know exactly where all the money came from and where it was going to. So
When you say from the spreadsheet, are you talking about the
that's
spreadsheet that's
2021
about
spreadsheet. Yeah.
the FES, the FES
Right.
spreadsheet?
Right. So but the problem with the FES spreadsheet is it includes money from both years, not just 1 year.
Yeah,
So
that's
so
true.
when I take these journal entries cover 2 years, but they're on one date. They're on 11/30. So it's actually taking money from last year and putting it into this year. So that's why it's a negative number.
So, but that's
Yeah, again,
oh, go ahead.
again, you're saying this year. Please change that to tell us
No,
the year.
we don't have the current year on the books at all. So it's last year and this year for 2020 and 2021. I could say the year before and last year, but
Well,
I think
you need to
welcome,
understand it's
welcome to 2022.
I was gonna say,
I
why don't
know,
you just say,
but
why don't you just say the actual year? I think it's a little
yeah,
easier for
yeah.
people.
So for 2020, we don't have any general journal entries. We don't have a spreadsheet of what we made money on. We don't have anything. So we have a 2021 journal of where the money came from. But the money actually came to us in 2020. So we need to take 1,200 away from this year
Yep.
and put it into last year's money, and that's what I did here. We take when you total up our actual donations, which were somewhere around 300, which are basically just unaccounted revenues, and possibly donations, and we take the rest over and we push it into 2020.
So when you finish putting the
Because
2020 information into the system, which it sounds like you're working on, then this will start to reconcile, is what I'm hearing.
Well, it does reconcile now, and the problem is once I finish 2020, this is probably going to say the same thing because we didn't really count membership dues as accounts receivable, like I think somebody was saying we should. Maybe it was Bob. Instead, we just counted it as donations and memberships and whatever. So even once 2020 is figured out, I'll have a better idea of where it came from, where this $1,400, was it in the vendors? Was it in, it'll probably make more sense when you look at the numbers, but the totals are going to be the same. Because this
That's
is what's
fair.
in our bank. This
Yeah,
is
I think
what we're seeing.
Yeah, I think the key is right now it just looks a little weird because it shows donations as being a negative $1,000, and
Yeah.
everybody's
And
like,
it's
"Well, that
at
doesn't make any sense."
1238.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's $1,238, which according to the spreadsheet for 2021, we pulled in $1,238 at CocoFest. But it's in reality we didn't. We pulled it in 2020 and didn't have a CocoFest at all.
Okay. So,
I would, I
we'll
would,
go.
I would suggest that we do have the information. I'm sorry Tony's not here tonight, but he also turned in a sheet of every PayPal
Yeah.
money that came in
Well,
and
I'm
where
going through
it
that
went.
list. I have that list. I'm going through the list. It's all
Okay,
adding
let
up.
me give
There's
for instance. Tell me the money that came in from Mark Marlette.
in 2020.
Yep.
Okay, I can't do that yet because I don't have 2020 finished in my accounting software.
Okay. Well,
So
let me tell
I'd have
you
to
that
actually look through the report.
the Tandy List and Logical both show his money that came in on 2020 turning into his dues through 2026.
Yep.
That's just
Yeah.
an example. There's others that are like that.
He's
Matter of
paid up to
fact,
2026. My accounting software doesn't see that. So that's something we're working on with Randy, is to try and get actual reports of what's going on with the money so that we don't end up with this again where it's like where I have general journal entries of hundreds of dollars rounded out to the nearest dollar. I don't know where this, how accurate this is, where it came from really. So what Randy needs to do is give me reports. We had $500 in dues, we had this and that way I can, and for these journal entries, I can just enter the correct, most accurate number from Tandy List. But as of right now, these numbers are correct. Everything adds up. The money's there. I don't see any amounts missing. I don't see $1,200 missing because it's there for last year. So
So
that's where I'm at.
and what you're saying is that the bank statements and the PayPal statements, the income or the funds we have in those various accounts match up with the money that the system shows that we have,
Yep,
with the puts and
and
the
they're
takes.
about right when you figure everything is right as long as you presume that these donations that were absurdly high in 2020 because it was basically money given to us for nothing.
Right.
We took it away and we put it into 2021.
Okay.
So
Okay. Well, I'd love to see
agreed.
I'd love to see an update when you get a little bit more in there. I know you're in a work in progress, so
yeah,
I don't want to try and solve problems that may or may not exist yet, but it
yeah.
would be.
What'll happen is, and it'll be very interesting to see. What'll happen is all these donations will go away.
Hmm.
So it'll be like $300 in donations because somebody gave us a $300 check, and same for 2021. And then all that extra money, 1,000 here, negative, 900 here. It'll go into one of these other categories, and we'll have more accurate categories of numbers.
Okay. Well, good. Um, okay, so more to come on that. Thanks for putting that in there. And let's see. So we've got. Let me see if I see. It doesn't look like I don't see Brian. So we're gonna continue to skip the secretary's report for this month. I'll work on that, getting that in place for next month. But for the committee reports, Grant is here. So maybe Grant, you could give us an update on Cocoa Fest. Maybe you or maybe Randy, I don't know, but at least yourself.
Okay, not a problem. So I know Tony brought to my attention that there was a vaccine mandate, a mask mandate that would potentially could affect Cocoa Fest. I reached out to Vicky at the hotel and talked to her about that, and she said the vaccine mandate would be up to us since we're actually renting out the facility, and the mask mandate is not being enforced by the city of Elk Grove, just like it was during the Cocoa Fest last year. So as of right now, it was like this is a nothing burger. And she also suggested too that come May, most of this will probably be over with anyways. At least we hope. So I have already started presentations, looking for presentations. They're actually filling up quite quickly, a lot faster than I thought there would be. So we right now have 5 slots for presentations. We might have to increase that a little bit. Now I know Jim Brain, you probably don't want to hear that, but if we get but we may have to adjust it a little bit. So if we have too many people, but I'm like you, I like to keep it around 5 or 6 max. So also, I've decided that I'll be doing door prizes. Eric brought that suggestion up to me here a few weeks ago. Kind of like they do at a Tandy Assembly where they have a number. We maybe give $50 gift certificates for somebody to spend at the auction or at a vendor. And then maybe a couple gift cards or something like that. So, so that's another thing. Pretty much everything else is we're just waiting on Randy to hopefully get the system up and running, and I'll kick it over to him here in just a second. So right now I'm looking at hopefully, and correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, but I'm shooting for February 1st for the system to be up and running so we can start getting registrations and zippers can start reserving their tables. So that's everything on my end. Randy, do you want to discuss things on your side of the with the software?
Give me 1 second, Randy. Eric, you can. I don't need that shared anymore, so you can take it off. That way, I can make the
Okay.
people bigger. Okay, sorry, Randy, go ahead. Well,
Yep, maybe.
maybe. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's still on. He's talking to somebody on the phone. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So we'll go with the gonna be ready February 1st, and we'll hold him to that. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's fine too because we're also starting a month later. Normally we're in April, so we're in May, so we're still got several months still to get people registered and everything like that. So we're not going to run behind.
Okay. Well, good. Anything that you need from us specifically?
Nope, I think we're okay right now. One thing I did want to know is what about auction items? How are we doing on that? Anybody know?
I haven't received any.
We have some auction items already. We've got like 3 boxes of auction items that were just part of the thing, but I would say go ahead and put the call out on the mailing list and the Facebook and MailChimp if you want, and just make sure folks are aware that because we need time. It'd be preferable. I mean, some are going to show up that day because that's just what always happens, or the day before or whatever. But it'd be nice to know kind of what's going to be there so we kind of gauge. Like right now in your schedule, we only have the 3 to 6 or 3:30 to 6 or whatever is the time for the auction, which is fine. I'm hopeful that we have enough material to put on a really nice auction for that time period. But the one that we did, the second day, because we had so much stuff, that's not on the schedule right now. And so if we need it, you need to build it into the schedule now. And if we don't think we're going to need it, then that's fine. We'll use that time for something else. But be nice to know ahead of the day, and it'd be nice to know what people are bringing prior to the day of the show so that we don't get caught with way too much stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, or if we're not going to have a very big auction this year, which is the possibility since it's such a short turnaround, I might be able to use that time for another presentation or something like that too. So
yeah, I'm I mean, I liked your schedule. So for those, the schedule hasn't been shared with everybody yet, but just to give everybody a little bit of color, um, last time there was a concern about the lunch time period being a little compressed, and there wasn't any kind of time in between presentations to kind of group and kind of get everything set up for the next presentation and whatnot. And so Grant's new schedule has a half an hour built in between each presentation, and it's got an extra half an hour for lunch. So that obviously shifts some of the presentations around and limits how many can easily fit in the schedule. So it's nice to know that we've already got most of the slots filled. The key is if we have more, where do you put those? Um,
Right.
and because you can't get stuff too late into Sunday, or else it'll cut into the time that everybody needs to be tearing things down and getting out of the facility. But I guess it's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, good. Do we have a theme? I mean, I know it's like 30th anniversary thing, but do we have any kind of anything special that we need to be thinking about for like the theme or whatever from the 30th anniversary, or is it something different that we're going with?
No, I think we're just going to go with the 30th anniversary of the Glenside Color Computer Club.
Okay. Actually,
So
it'd be
we
the
probably
third.
get some.
Yeah, it'd be the 30th anniversary of the show. I think the club started before, so
Yeah, the last the 30th anniversary of the last Cocoa Fest or whatever it is.
yep, that's right. Okay. Um, well, good. Anybody
So
have
yeah,
any questions?
I'll probably be putting some fillers out too. We'll probably get some logos or something made too.
Salvador would be. You should check with him. He was really good. And then there was a lady that I keep forgetting her name. I think it's a friend of Neil's or John's. Um, man, I cannot think of her name. Well,
Her
anyway,
name's Amy.
Amy. That's right, Amy. So she does logos too.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Grant? Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yep. So I have just a very quick update on the work that's going on our nonprofit status application. So we sent in a whole bunch of stuff to the IRS in December, and like 26 pages of material to them. And they contacted us back, actually talked to Rich, um, that our articles we're missing one thing, which is that our articles of incorporation with the state of Illinois do not contain the clause about dispersing our items. Uh, as a 501c3, you have to disperse your items to other qualifying clubs or to the state or whatever in the event that your organization um, shuts down. And so that's not currently in our it's currently in our Constitution, but it is not in our Articles of Incorporation, which and I think Rich as well, we thought those were one and the same, but they are not. So I have prepared the appropriate amendment to the Articles of Incorporation, and I'm in the process of submitting that. And I've contacted the IRS, the lady that's helping us at the IRS, and asking for some additional time because they wanted a response back by the 6th of February, which we will not we will not get a response back from the state of Illinois on the disposition of our amendment and by the 6th of February. I'm almost positive. So I've not heard back from her. I don't know, Rich, if she had reached out to you or not, but I have not gotten a response back from her on that. So I was hoping
I
maybe I
heard
can.
nothing.
Okay, I was hoping maybe I could impose on you to maybe reach out to her as well. I called her, but maybe she didn't know who I was, and I know you had talked to her previously to see if that's going to be okay for us to have some more time. We're in the process. I mean, I'm submitting the information to the state, but the 6th is going to come up like in 2 weeks, and there's no way I don't think we're going to have a response back from the state by then.
Well, I told her that you were the president and that I was no longer in a.
Okay.
prime mover situation. So I think it'd be best if you grab the reins there and contact her yourself.
Well, and I
Uh,
and I did. I did contact her.
yes,
That's
you
what I'm
did.
saying. I did, but she's
hold,
not
hold the
responded
reins,
to me. Huh? What?
hold on to the reins and maybe contact her again.
Okay. Well,
I
I
don't think it
will.
would make any difference for me to.
Okay. Well, I will reach out to her again. So anyway, that is not a ton to report, but we're close. It sounds to me like that little. It's just a little clause that says essentially, if your club disbands, then all the assets of the club are to be dispersed according to the statutes of the 501(c)(3) legislation or whatever. So not a big deal, but it's got to be there before they'll consider our application. So I got to make that amendment. Any questions? Okay. Um, I because I had to work on the request for the amendment to the Articles of Incorporation, and we had an immediate need to solve some problems for Tandy List so that we could get Tandy List set up on by February 1st for registrations. Um, there's a there's a meeting that's on my. I have an action item to schedule a meeting around the changes that we need for the membership for the bylaws. And so for those of you who are wanting an update on that, my apologies. I have not been able to schedule that meeting yet. I'm hoping to do that in the next week or two. So I don't have any update on that. And that was all the old business I had, and I did not receive any new business. So I would be happy to entertain any new business that we might have, if anybody has any.
I have one piece of new business.
Yeah.
Um, I spent a little bit of money on, office supplies, a binder, some pens. I'd like to be reimbursed. But rather than like asking you guys for every pen that I buy, could we just set up some kind of a budget for the directors or something? Maybe like for everybody $100 in office supplies if you need it. Then we can just reimburse you if you need it.
Uh, my comment to that, am I being heard? I don't hear myself.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, then I'd simply like to handle it this way, that I make a motion that uh, Eric be replenished with the money he has used to get to this point today. That easy.
All right. There's a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll
Well,
second.
Okay.
and
Okay, good.
and that would be fine. I'm just asking if we could instead do a budget, like a yearly budget, so we don't have
I,
to ask.
I think we should wait for that to get into the new constitution and pick it up from that time.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. Bob motions, Rich second. So is anyone who all is in favor of reimbursement for the expenses that Eric has accrued?
Aye.
Okay. Do we have kind of any idea on how much it is so far,
Yeah, I'll
Eric?
have to go grab my receipt, but I think let's just say it's under $50.
Okay.
Uh,
Any
I'll give you an
opposed?
exact amount.
Okay. So
Yes.
motion passes.
Yeah, that takes care of that.
Yep, that works for me. Joe.
Okay. Any other new business?
Yeah, I'd like to discuss for a moment the possibility of getting into the Constitution, the ability of being able to change, as voted on every year, uh, the changing of dues.
Hmm.
It's been $15 forever. Shouldn't need to be that way. We've often, without paying attention to the Constitution, dropped that number. It has
Okay.
been down to 10 and also down to 5.
Okay.
And I think we should talk about that a little bit. Back to you.
Okay, I can put it on an agenda item for like I said, the meeting that I'm scheduling is really a general constitution and bylaws meeting. It was just we were going to focus initially on the membership classes and stuff, so I can add that as an action item to go over that as we work through the changes, if that's okay.
And furthermore, this would have uh, it would have the necessity of setting the price for each uh, Cocoa Fest. Okay,
Okay.
remembering to the way it's been tied in is somewhere along the line we reduced it to $5. From a lot of years it was 10,
Uh-huh.
and we said whatever it is, that's what we make your dues for that year. So the
Oh,
dues have been going up and down.
got it. I see
Uh,
what you're saying. Okay.
yeah, and also Tony has noted that we've been charging the person who comes to the fest, and then he brings his wife and we grab more money from her,
Hmm.
and the children the same thing. And what he says is that what we should be thinking about is the fact that our dues is for a family, and probably has always been. So that we're artificially turning it into two, and we should therefore this year I would recommend that whatever we pick for the dues, if it be $5, that we take that into consideration, and if there's uh, a better half and a more significant other and children, that's just zeroed out. That's just part of. We'll zero that out and go with the lower things that for Lighty would be helpful in, he thinks, getting more people in by
Okay.
reducing these kind of fees. Back to
Okay.
you.
Okay. Well, I don't know if we need to, I don't think we need to vote on it. We've got that already. We talked about the conversation last month and opening up that line of revisions and review. So I'll add that as an item to revise in the Constitution. We can chat about it when I get the meeting scheduled.
Yeah, if
Right?
I can comment on that too. I don't know if we need to reduce fees because our expenses in other areas are going up. Websites, teleconferencing, everything needs a fee these days, a monthly fee to use and buy. So we've replaced kind of our paper costs with software costs. So that's
True,
just
but
my opinion on it.
true, but I mean, we also need to consider that the fest is it tends to be um, it tends to cover the expenses
Yep.
plus quite a bit, or has in the past anyway. I mean, last year it
Hmm.
was a banner year, but even years previous to that, it sounds like it was not. We did not operate in a deficit when we put on the fest.
Right.
So,
Right.
so
Well, yeah.
With
I think
if we
it
had
needs. Hmm. I think it needs consideration for sure.
okay,
yeah, the fact that you're doing a 503 and it was always been unnecessary for 30 years uh, was your fear of collecting too much money. So let's get things more back in
Where
balance.
we don't have that fear. We can collect $50,000 a year in gross income before we have to file a slightly more complicated form.
Yeah.
And even if we have to file that form, our accounting software is now capable of filling that out for us.
Okay. Well,
we're good.
it seemed to me it was a pain in the butt, but
No,
to
it's
even
just a
go in
kind
that
of a big
direction.
form you have to fill out, but we're accounting now for everything, so it should be it would even if we made more than 50,000 in a year, we'd be able to fill out that form pretty easily.
Well, I think even before forums and everything, I guess I would say, you know, my thought would be around the club. What's the goal of gathering money
Right.
for the club, right? I mean, I
Right.
would assume
Yeah.
that the money is, we use the money to put on the fest, and then I think in the past when the club has designed some hardware projects like the ID controller and whatnot. That the money was used to help with the expenses associated
Yeah.
with building that. But to me, regardless of what kind of reporting requirements there are, I think there's a law of diminishing returns to gather too much money, because
Yeah.
people are going to say, what value are you providing by gathering all that money above and beyond what you need to put on
Yeah,
the.
I mean, I don't think we need to hoard money either. So I think a discussion would be good. But there are projects that I would love to have the club undertake. We could do another Glenside IDE.
Mhm.
We could purchase auction items, which are probably, I feel like auction items could become more and more rare as time goes on. So we could purchase that and redistribute it at auction, and use our income to help do that, to give people better prices on cocoa gear. But is that the goal of the club? I mean, I don't know. Are we here to subsidize people? Not really. But yeah, whatever you guys want to use the money on, I'm all for it. I I
I
think
think you've just picked up another member for the Constitution Committee, Jim.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I will add him to the list if he wasn't
There you
already
go.
on there. Okay.
who's that, or what's going on?
He was,
Talked himself into it.
yep, he was talking about you, Eric.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it was already out of, but
Yeah, I think you were.
yeah. I mean, it
Okay,
definitely requires a good conversation.
sounds good. Any other topics any other topics that folks want to bring up?
Yeah, did Randy come available, or is he
No, he's
still?
still he's still talking on the phone. So unfortunately, I think
Okay.
we're gonna have to let him
Jim,
be.
I've got an input, Jim.
Yeah.
It's completely trivia, but
Hmm.
this time when we put the Tandy list and Logical in sync,
Yeah.
we went in and corrected every dot and tittle in the address field.
Hmm.
Therefore, the street has been abbreviated. Do you
Okay.
know how many times one uses ST and how many times the post office tells us what should be capital and what shouldn't, and so on? There have been laws in that. Well, now the two are absolutely identical.
Good deal.
You'll not be able to tell which one it was printed from.
Good.
You know how
Okay.
some guys will spell out street
Yep.
instead of put the abbreviation in? Well, it's by abbreviating it, you save an awful lot of ink out of your printer. So they are pretty minimal right now, and they are exactly the same, identical.
Okay.
Go
Good.
ahead.
Good deal. Um, you brought up you jogged my memory on something else that we talked about prior to the meeting starting, and so I just wanted to let people know. Um, uh, we have a number of people in the list who we do have a valid snail mail addresses for them, but we do not have a valid email address, so they are not receiving our communications. And that may be what they want, I don't know, but an idea was discussed via email at the end of the year around finding out who those folks are, and then sending them a communication like a postcard or a letter or something, asking if they could come in and update their information, or at least let us know how they want us to disposition their record in Danny List. So before the meeting, Bob had indicated that he's still working on identifying who those folks are, but once we do, we'll get that list. And the idea is that we'll send a communications to them, letting them know that we've kind of lost contact with them electronically, and give them some options to help get us in communication with them again. So I think that's a fine thing to do, and we probably should do it probably once a year or something, just to make sure everybody's, because if you don't have any, if they for some reason their email address no longer works, then you don't really have a way of communicating with them to tell them that their email address is not working, so they can give you a new one. So unless they realize that they're not getting our newsletter or meeting announcements, they wouldn't know to come in and update. So definitely we should give them a ping every so often. So just for folks to know, just informational. And
Speaking of newsletter, when's the last
mhm.
time we had a newsletter?
So the newsletter should have went out last month, and I keep asking Steve about it. So I'll ask him again, so we can
Okay.
get it done because it's all done. He just was we're doing one final edit, and then he was going to send it out, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I know
Do
he's
we
had some
have?
family deaths and stuff like that too. So
Oh. Do we have any volunteers to take over that? Because I know he is looking to get out of doing that.
No, that's a good point. Thanks for reminding me. So, official call out. Steve says he's finishing up this newsletter, the kind of the winter, whatever, winter 2021 newsletter, and then he said his situation has changed and he needs to kind of bow out and being the primary newsletter editor, and so we're looking for a new newsletter editor. So if anybody is interested, either in the group here right now or those that are watching on YouTube or Facebook, if you are, please contact one of the officers. You can do so from our Glenside CCC website and let us know you're interested, and we'll get you in touch with Steve so he can show you what he's been doing and share the how-to on doing newsletter.
I nominate Jim Brain for it.
No, 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 no. I'm already got stuff I'm working on. So I write something for the newsletter. I'm not going to edit the newsletter. um, okay. Well, I do not have any more new business. Anything else that folks want to bring up? Okay. So this is the first time that Grant, your reverse psychology worked. So you said it was going to be a long meeting, and it appears as though it's a short meeting. So um, I would love to entertain a motion to close out the January Glenside meeting.
Well, I'll make that motion.
Okay, Rich
And I will second.
and Grant is seconding that motion. So all those in favor of closing it down for the week, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any
Aye.
opposed? One opposed sounds like. Okay, motion passes. Appreciate everybody joining. Sorry the meeting notice came out so late. I'm on the road and I ran out of time to get it sent out before I had to get on the road to Michigan. So hopefully I'll do better next month. Actually, I am going to do better next month because I asked John Mark to help me so that John Mark can help me make sure I'm on time. So thank you in advance for John Mark's help.
I'd like John, Mark, and Tony to hang around after the meeting.
Okay.